About February 17th, 2020, I had a dream that the Lord gave me that I want to share with you. In that dream, I was in a rural America town. Uh, it felt like Brewster, Washington, but it wasn't Brewster. It didn't look like Brewster, but it felt like Brewster. Sleepy little rural America town, single main street. Um, and I'm walking down the main street, and I come across a white steepled church, small little white church, like a little house and prairie type church with two double doors and 10 to 15 stairs going up to the double doors. As I'm looking at this church from the middle of the road, I see an address on it. It's a Front Street, Lahaina, Hawaii. So, I mean, well, that's strange that this church is here, but the address used to be in Hawaii. So my viewpoint changes where I rise up, and so now I'm above the church looking down on it. And what I notice is the front part of the church is just a facade. In the back, it's attached to another building that's in the back that is old, run down, dilapidated, and forgotten. And this facade was just covering up this old rundown building. And there was a distinct separation between the two. Even though they were attached, there was like a 3 foot wide black ribbon, just this void between the two. And then my viewpoint comes back down, and I'm standing in the middle of the street, and what I realize is, and I can feel in my spirit this tremendous peace. I'm looking up, and I see that the main street is lined with oak trees with this huge, beautiful canopy. It's like 80 degrees, 78 degrees, just perfect temperature outside, no wind. And I notice it's about 11 o'clock in the morning because the way that the sun is coming down at an angle through the canopy. I'm looking up at the sky, and it's just the most beautiful blue I've ever seen. Not a cloud in the sky, just like this perfect day. And I could just feel this peace of perfection within my spirit. And then I heard the voice of the Lord. He said, "Where's the church?" And then immediately I look across the street, and there's actually the main church building is across the street. So what I realized, what's in front of me is just, it's an attraction. It's a museum or an attraction, is what this little white church is. It's not the actual church. And then all the pastor of the actual congregation leads the people out of the church into the street. And the thing that was really interesting is the peace that I felt in my spirit was immediately replaced with fear, anxiety, trepidation. And I could see it on the people's faces. And as I watched the people come out of the church building, the thing I thought was really strange was they came into the street but were very separated from one another. They were like in family pods, basically, or family units, with distance between all of them. And the pastor climbs the stairs of the white steepled church, the facade, the museum, the attraction, and he starts to give his message. But the thing that's interesting is I couldn't hear a word that he was saying. I could physically see him speaking, but I wasn't allowed to hear the words that he was preaching. So then I notice a man in the middle of the congregation, and people were coming up to me, and they were pointing out that this man was the pastor from the Church of Hawaii. That this church in rural America had purchased this church building from Hawaii and tore it down and moved it to their hometown to be an attraction. But what the people highlighted to me was that they were very proud of this pastor, that he could not separate himself from his building. And so he left the congregation in Hawaii to come be with the building. And so he became a member of this church. And these people were so proud of that fact. And they were so proud of this building. And I remember just feeling in my heart that their focus is in the wrong place. That they are, they don't realize the true state that they are in, of where their heart and their focus is. So I'm sitting there watching, and then all of a sudden, the pastor looks at me, and he speaks these words, which all of a sudden I was able to hear. He says, "It's time for your assessment." And as I was standing and observing things, I didn't realize I was there to give an assessment. I didn't have a word that was upon my heart at that point, or even in that I knew I was going to speak, I guess. So I get to the top of the stairs, and I look at the church, and I just encourage them. It's the first thing I said to them. It was just encouragement. And then I told them, you have lost your first love. You have forgotten what the Lord has done for you. You need to rise up and remember the stories that Jesus has done for you and share those stories with the world. You have forgotten your first love. Return to it.